Hi, this is Aaron Wilson. The big news of the day, linebacker Christian Harris back practicing. It was a walkthrough, but he ran with the first team defense. And to me, he looked very good. He looked fluid in the drills. No signs of any lingering issues with the calf injury that he's aggravated many times and cost him all of last season and the entire offseason. He's been very patient. He's worked very hard. He's bided his time. And he's worked diligently to get back to this point where he can return to playing football again. It was a big moment for Christian. And if you know Christian, you know how much football means to him and how exciting it is for him to get back on the field with his teammates. He's a very talented football player. He bolsters this linebacking core. The thought of having him and Azeez Al-Shaair playing together is an exciting one for what's already one of the best defenses in the NFL. If they have Azeez Al-Shaair and Christian Harris playing together for any length of time this season, it's a formidable linebacking tandem, and I have to change my evaluation of the linebacking core and the talent level there because Christian can play. Christian makes big plays. He can tackle. Remember what he did to Derrick Henry. Remember the interception return for a touchdown against the Cleveland Browns as DeMeco Ryans coached him perfectly into that play on Joe Flacco. Also, running back Dameon Pierce ran with the first team offense. Nick Chubb, after his best practice of camp, arguably with a 30-yard run, didn't practice today. It was a walkthrough, so obviously has some kind of injury. I don't think it was anything serious because he did walk off under his own power on Tuesday. We'll see what Nick Chubb is dealing with in the days to come. But for now, Dameon Pierce, Dario Gomawale, Jahar Jordan, and British Brooks. You've got, of course, Woody Marks. And no one's really stood out amongst the backups. I thought Chubb was starting to just show some signs of solid play, and I think he was going to be able to break some tackles. We'll see. I'm not writing him off yet. I think he's, might miss a practice or two. It's just like Cam Robinson, so I guess I'll go into my injury update since that's what we're talking about right now. So Cam, he's got a sleeve on his knee. He's expected to return at some point here during the preseason, and he's walking around. He's watching practice. He even wore a jersey, but he's not practicing. That triggered another offensive line shuffle, the same one that they did the previous day, where you have Titus Howard kicking out to right tackle, rookie Ariante Ursary, the starting right tackle, moving to left tackle, and then Laken Tomlinson at his usual left guard spot, and Jake Andrews at center ahead of Jarrett Patterson, and they plugged in Ed Ingram, the former LSU standout, who was a second-round pick of the Minnesota Vikings and was acquired by the Texans this offseason. So, I think the starters won't play a lot against the Vikings, as usual. Maybe they play a series or something. We'll see how they choose to dole out playing time. And I think this is more important for the backups because it's just the first of 3 preseason games. So, a couple of roster things I want to talk to you guys about. Quintus Cephas, formerly of the Detroit Lions and the 49ers and the Bills. He had a cup of coffee with the Texans last year, and now he is back. So they get Quintus Cephas, and they did it because Johnny Johnson III was waived injured today, has a sling on his right shoulder, has this injury, and he's not able to practice. So they're going to waive injured. He would revert to injured reserve, possibly an injury settlement coming for Johnny Yams Johnson, who has been a good member of the practice squad here for the last couple of years, joined this team in 2022 and is stuck every year. So unfortunate timing for Johnny. I would imagine he dislocated his shoulder, but haven't heard exactly what he has. Among the other players not practicing, Jalen Reed, who has got an ankle injury, expected to miss a total of 3 weeks. That's kind of the baseline for this type of ankle injury. And then Dylan Horton didn't practice for the second consecutive day. And not real concerned about him, but he's not practicing, and we'll see when he gets back out there. And then, the biggest injury updates, obviously, of course, were Christian Harris, Dameon Pierce getting back on the field, back with their teammates, and they had a smile on their face, both those guys. They were excited. And I thought Pierce looked quick and trim. I know he's been working really hard with his trainer and with the team, strength and conditioning staff, and on his diet. He looks good. Not emaciated like he did that one year. He looks like he's kept on some good weight and looks ready to go, ready to break some tackles. Maybe another angry run of the year, award is there in the offing for Dameon Pierce. We're still waiting on Joe Mixon for him to get back out there. I think that's something that we'll talk about later in the preseason once we're back in Houston, Texas. And of course, the Texans will open the preseason Saturday in Minnesota against the Vikings. And that'll be interesting to see how do the starters look, if they play at all. But I think this is mostly the backup bowl, if you will, for the Texans and probably the Vikings, because these teams tend to agree on that. But yeah, that's something that was interesting. Good conversation today with Danielle Hunter. Feels very good about the state of the defense, and of course his offseason, his dedication to his Spartan training regimen, and all the things he does to be a great athlete, great pass rusher. Of course, was once a track athlete, running the 4x1 relay, the 4x200 relay, and the 4x400 relay. 400 was his favorite race, 400 meters, as a track athlete at Morton Ranch High School in Katy. So playing for his hometown team, definitely agrees with Danielle Hunter. Look for my interview with Danielle. We'll be posting that within the next day. So yeah, exciting to talk to him, and he's got a great mentality towards the game and everything he's doing with the Texans. And I think him and Will Anderson Jr., for my money, that's the best pass rushing tandem in football. Because it was a walkthrough, I don't have a lot of highlights, so I don't want to, so talk about some situations and things rather than bore you with this play or that play. There were no plays. They were barely jogging. It was a mental rep day for the Texans as they get ready for their preseason game. I think they'll be back in pads tomorrow, and I would expect the Texans to have something of a tough workout, especially getting the starters some work if they're not going to play much in the preseason game. We'll see how they go forward with that. I'm looking at my roster. I want to go over a couple guys. I don't want to forget something. I feel like Braxton Berrios has solidified himself as the punt returner. I think that he's someone that they have a lot of confidence in, his ability to catch punts and get up the field. He looks good out there. And then Jalen Nolan, reserve of him, you saw my conversation with Jalen. I think Jalen also is a capable punt returner. Obviously, he was the Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year. So they've got some depth there in the return game. And then just kind of going through a few things here, with the offensive line. A lot of you guys probably saw how hands-on Cole Popovich was. That's up close and personal. That's how Cole Popovich coaches. And he cussed a little bit. He gets in their face. It's a lot of tough love with Cole, who is a former offensive lineman himself at Fresno State. So these guys like the way he's coaching them. There's a lot of buy-in with the guys in terms of what they feel about Cole and accepting his coaching and his teaching. So that's a good thing. And then, in terms of the other things, as you guys know, they have Dalton Keene to the roster, and he played for Nick Caley with the Patriots. So interesting to see the ties and the connections for them to bring back Nick Caley. So a lot going on with the Texans, but it's been an interesting week. And some of my observations, yes, the defense is still ahead of the offense. Talking to C.J. Stroud today, interesting to hear him say he's his own toughest critic. That stems from his family background and wanting to be considered good enough and mature enough to play with his older brothers and sisters. He was the youngest child. Interesting to hear from CJ. He feels like he's assimilating well to the Nick Caley offense. And there weren't a ton of other conversations, just a lot of informal talk at the Greenbrier Sports and Performance Center. And yeah, the Texans, they've got a lot in front of them. They've had a good week here. It's been productive. And it's obviously a nice scenery, good weather, and people are having a good time. The Texans players, a lot of them have played cards, played video games. Some of them have visited the historic bunker in the building behind me, the military bunker that they have here at the Greenbrier, which has been visited by several presidents in the past, including George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr., and of course Donald Trump. So several presidents have been to the Greenbrier, which is the home of a historic golf course. They have a casino, and they have some nice restaurants. If anybody's ever looking for a place to travel to, it is quite the facility here at the Greenbrier. It reminds me a little bit of a older version of the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach, Florida, where they have the owners' meetings quite frequently. So yeah, those are some of the news and notes with the Texans. And yeah, I think that Jahar Jordan, he hasn't flashed as much as he did early in camp. Wanted to kind of note that. I've seen good things from Henry Toto as the linebacker playing the most until today, and it was there were some 3 linebacker sets, but when they went 2 linebackers, it was Azeez Al-Shire and Christian Harris. So the Texans making some noise, doing some things, and getting ready for a road preseason game. So the schedule for the team: they will practice tomorrow morning at the Greenbrier Sports and Performance Center, and then after that they will go to travel to Minnesota, and they will have a day off, the players in Minnesota, and then Saturday afternoon they'll open the preseason against the Vikings. So a lot going on with the Texans, and continue to monitor everything, let you guys know what I'm doing, what I'm up to, and what the Texans are up to. So yeah, please keep it locked here, and if you're not already, watch, like, and subscribe. I'm also on Twitter at AaronWilson_NFL and Instagram AaronWilson7128. And this is a good, fast-growing channel. I'm excited to bring you this coverage from West Virginia, and I look forward to doing more. This is just the beginning, the launching pad for the things I have planned in the future for Aaron Wilson Sport on YouTube. So yeah, please give me a follow, give this a chance, and remember, it is absolutely free. All you have to do is click the button. If you're not interested in this type of content, you don't have to watch it, but I appreciate the support. And some of you guys have been quite supportive, and I really greatly appreciate it. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for some of the support that I've seen from some of you guys financially. It means a lot to me, helps me and my family, helps fuel some of this coverage as we take this show on the road here at the Greenbrier Resort. Until next time, look forward to our next conversation.